We'd like to welcome you to BeMoreNews.com, the news before the news, where we uncover the truth. We're here with the one and only, the incomparable, the indomitable Arnold Jolivet. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, Doni. Thanks for coming by.
Good, good. Even though this is a week that the rest of the country and no doubt the state of Maryland has paid ample attention to the midterm elections, there's been something else that has been burning on your brain and others concerned with minority business enterprises, i.e. black business, here in the state of Maryland. Some $485 million in a contract, in the form of a contract regarding a communications piece with the Department of Information Technology with the state.
Correct.
Okay, what's the deal? What happened? It went before the Board of Public Works this Wednesday passed?
Well, fortunately, the board decided not to approve it because there were a tremendous number of irregularities and improprieties in the procurement process. And we tried to impress upon the board that the process in and of itself did not comport with applicable state law. It excluded African Americans altogether. It's just reprehensible that we can award a $485 million contract and not one penny would be awarded to African American owned businesses. And that's unacceptable.
Okay, first of all, let us commend you for being the leading advocate here in the state of Maryland as it relates to black businesses. And also, I want to commend you on your efforts on this effort in particular, because you made a lot of noise in the midst of a campaign, both here in the state of Maryland and nationally, where everyone else's attention was on supporting, in many cases, the first African-American president, Barack Obama. But through it all, you had been pushing the envelope, if you will, as it relates to this particular contract, and you went to Annapolis the day after the election, Wednesday. What happened on Wednesday?
Well, Wednesday was the day the Board of Public Works had their public meeting. And on their agenda was the proposed award of that contract. And as I said, fortunately, because we had asked the board to hold this contract up, refrain from awarding it, and investigate the improprieties in it, and come back and correct the improprieties so African Americans can get a real reasonable piece of it. We want our fair share.
Okay, now for those who may not know, the Board of Public Works, that includes three major figures here in the state of Maryland: the governor,
the governor, the comptroller, and the state treasurer.
Okay, and this is held every Wednesday in Annapolis?
No, it's held bi-weekly.
Okay, every other Wednesday?
Every other Wednesday.
In Annapolis?
In Annapolis at the State House.
Even though you're a rather modest man, had you not made noise about this particular contract, it could have gone down without any revisit from the powers that be here in the state of Maryland?
Well, unfortunately, without taking a lot of credit for it, because it's not my credit, it's the Lord's. But unfortunately, contracts like this go before the board every Wednesday, every time they meet, and there's no minority participation, no African American participation. So this is actually nothing new. It's just that this contract was so egregious and so irregular until it caught the eyes of a lot of people. And fortunately, as I said, the board had the wisdom to refrain from approving it.
What now? What happens next?
Well, we've told the board and the powers to be that if for some reason that they decide, and it's very possible, that they can decide that they still want to award it without any African American participation. They can make that decision because they've made it before. We will be in the local U.S. Federal District Court the next day to get an injunction to enjoin not only that contract, but the law that governs the state's minority program, because that law, we are finding out, is not meeting the needs of African American contractors.
Well, I'm a little confused because I have been to some Board of Public Works meetings, and I've actually seen the comptroller, the governor, the treasurer on various occasions ask particular vendor or someone with a contract, if they have in fact sought out minority business participation, black business participation. But you're saying that did not happen in the case of this $485 million communications contract.
Well, what I'm saying, the agency made an egregious error by procuring the contract and allowing the selected contractor to propose all non-African American subcontractors to get the lion's share, the total share of the minority participation. Now, whenever you got a law which allows any agency to exclude African Americans on the assumption that it's legal, then we got a problem. We got a serious problem because the very nature of the law facilitates, allows, and encourages and supports the African American exclusion from the mix. And we're not going to go for it.
Any final thoughts, Mr. Jolivet?
Well, I told Doc Cheatham, my colleague who's working with me and many others, to bring this to the public attention and to make sure that this never happens again, that we've got a lot of work to do in this state to promote African American participation. Because all too often, they say that they have minority participation, but I want you to know that that doesn't always equate to African American participation.
Can you explain?
That the way the law is written, a number of other groups,
Including white women.
including non-minority women, can qualify as minorities. Now, what we're saying, we are not opposed to these other groups, but we don't ever want there to be a situation where African Americans are being intentionally and purposefully or systemically left out of the mix. And that's what's happening. And unfortunately, we can't seem to get the eye and the attention of the public, of the powers to be, to correct this. But no longer will we stand by idly and allow this to continue.
And we do have, in fact, black contractors who can fulfill at least a portion of this $485 million contract?
Absolutely. And let me just speak to that, because unfortunately, on this same contract, the contractor was Motorola. And Motorola has several African American local dealers, that they are authorized local dealers. But curiously, because the discrimination is so entrenched and systemic, Motorola didn't even invite their local authorized minority dealers to be a part of this contract. And the state went right along with it. And yet they would use all of their white local dealers to build the system, but yet not one African American dealer would be a part of it. That shows the absurdity of the whole procurement.
Good deal. Thank you for your time, Mr. Arnold Jolivet. People who want to follow this issue can continue to view bemorenews.com. We promise ongoing coverage. Is there any other action step that the general public needs to do?
No, I just simply say that, like Frederick Douglass, we just need to be vigilant, and when things aren't going right in our black community, we need to stand up and agitate and let the powers to be that we are fed up, sick and tired of it, and not taking it any longer. We are sick and tired of being sick and tired, and we're just not going to take it any longer in the 21st century.
Good deal. Thank you for your time. Keep watching bemorenews.com, the news before the news, where we uncover the truth.